Andy Mack from AKAI Professional, and I have the pleasure of being down at GAK today, and we're going to take an exclusive look at the new MPC Touch. Now, the MPC Touch really takes the beat production workflow to a whole new level. MPC Touch has got the world's first integrated 7-inch color multi-touch screen, which really enhances the workflow when you're creating beats and productions. So let's take a look. So before we go into the feature sets, let's have a closer look at the physical hardware. So first thing you can see is the 7-inch color screen. Now this is a multi-touch screen, which means that we can do multiple commands with this. We can touch, scroll, pinch, and we can and it really does enhance a lot of the MPC feature sets, which we'll go into a little bit later. Now we have an audio in and an audio out, which means that we can directly sample into the hardware, into the MPC software. We've got phono out, USB, we've also got MIDI in and out. And then we move to the front of the unit, we can see our transport controls, so we have our normal play, stop, record. But some of the functions you can see have now been removed because these are now tailored into the screen technology. Now we also have our cue links on here, so we can move through banks 1 to 4, and these are all touch capacitive as well. And we have our data control, and then we have our bank selection in the top, so we can go through banks A through to H, and if we just double tap, we can go through to A to E. And then we have our full color RGB pads, which we've never had before. Now these will work in different performance modes, so you can color coordinate all your kicks, snares, melodics to different colors, and this can all be customizable as well to suit your needs if you're a live performer or a producer. So let's move into the feature sets. So now we've looked at the hardware, let's take a closer look at the actual features that MPC Touch offers. Now, as I explained earlier, a lot of the parameters have now been moved from physical buttons, which are now controlled from the touch facility. So if I go to my main menu, which we'll hit here, you now see a layout of all the parameters that we're used to. So we can see our main sample edit, program edit, browser for our sample content, grid edit. So we can access all of our parameters here. So if I want to look at my grid, I can see my grid. If I want to go to my program edit, I can now see program edit, samples, pan in, filter, modulations, insert effects. So just say for instance I want to load some effects, I can just double click, and now I can actually pull up my audio units by manufacturer or VSTs, or go to my internal effects by AKAI. So the facility really does enhance the workflow. You have no need to be looking at your computer when it's running the MPC software. Everything is visually displayed on the 7-inch screen. So some of the main features here that we're used to, which have just incredibly enhanced the workflow of beat production, is a number of things. So we have the grid edit. So whenever I'm making a beat, my beats are going to be generated inside here, so I can move, cut, copy, paste, lengthen, nudge, I can do all these amazing things, and I'll show you that in the demonstration in a minute. We have a new step sequencer, which really does enhance the workflow if you're building out electronic-based music. There has never been a workflow like this in existence on a touch screen, and again, we'll show you this a little bit later. And then we can look at our track views, so we can look at our tracks, what's happening on the tracks, what's the master level of the tracks, the transposing of the tracks, velocity, track lengths. And one other thing that we've added, which is really important, is individual track lengths. So if I've got a beat on track 1 and I want it to be maybe 1 bar or 2 bars long, I can actually put that into the mix now, and then track 2 could be 8 bars long, etc., etc. So I have independent control over track lengths. Now you've seen some of the feature sets, let's actually see how they operate when we're doing some demonstrations, and you can actually see how you can go in and do some really fine tuning to your production by using the 7-inch screen facility. So now we've had a look at the features, let's, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create some demos now in real time so we can really have a closer look at the features of the grid editor and the new step sequencer and some of the enhanced features that we've added, like XY effects. And we can do some really incredible stuff which really takes beat production to a whole new level. And I'm going to be using portions of the new sound library that comes with MPC Touch, which is absolutely stunning. And we will go into more depth about the sound content, who created it, where it's from, and how much you get later in the video. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to, so I'm in my main menu. What I'm going to do is go to my step sequencer, and let's start putting the track together. So I'm going to drop in my kick, let's start my sequence. go back to bar 1. Now I can select my next sound, put my clap down, and now I can take maybe a melodic. Now I can do this one in real time. And now I can see everything on my grid. Now I'm going to go to my hats, go back to my step sequencer. Go back to my grid. Now I can actually zoom in and I can select some of my hats as well. So if I want to move my hats around, I can just select them like this. And I can go nudge, select this one here, go down, or I can draw them in. Go back to my step sequencer, come out of here, and then I can do velocities as well. So now I'm controlling velocities on my steps for my hats. So super efficient. So now we can go back to our beat, go back to our main window. And again, I can do that bass line in the step sequence as well, so we can add to that. Go to my track view, see what's going on with my track, go back to my grid edit, and I can just keep building up my track. So I can go back to track 1, go to track 2, and then let's go track 3 and let's add a different sound. So maybe you want to add a vocal, you can add a vocal sample. So what I can do, go to menu, go to my pad color, and I can now change my pads to RGB mode. So now I can see that I got melodics in purple, I've got vocals, effects, I've got all kinds of things that I can use now to build up my track. Use my note repeat. So you can see that the workflow is really, really fast. So again, if you want to create another track, I can just go to sequence 2. Nothing on sequence 2. We'll just go to track 1 and let's pick another sound. So the tempo, let's say 128, 2, 3, 4. Step sequencer, pick my kick. And then we can go main menu, we can go to pad mute. So you can see from the workflow really, really fast. And some really cool things that we can do as well, especially if you're performing live, we can now go to our XY effects. So let me go back to this beat here. Go XY, go insert, and now I've now got access to a completely new audio suite where we can do beat repeat, we can do sync, we can do modulation, we can do all these kind of things live with an XY effect, which is all enhanced by the touch facility. Now, if I go here, set up, I can now go through some of the different types of effects that I have on my touch screen. Go through a few more. More modulation. So you can see, anyone who's doing dance production, electronic music, the things that you can do now live or in the studio, it just makes the creative process so much more fun and inspiring by doing this kind of stuff live. So if I just jump to the second track we did, and I'll apply the XY effects. Some of the other things that we can do in our browser, we can go to our program edit window, and this is where we can do some really cool stuff for like layering drums, which is really what enhances beat production. So I've got a kick here, and now I've got 4 levels that I can instantly just access here. So I can go, okay, I want to double up on my kick, I want to add maybe a percussion sound over my kick, and now I can just control the volumes here. I can double click, go back to my main menu, and now I've got 3 kicks there. Or I might want to add something else to the top. So we might want to put a maybe a stab sound. And the same on my clap. I can just add another sound, maybe another snare. Go down here. I can do all kinds of things with layering, which makes it really efficient. So let's have a look at sample edit. Now, what I can do with sample edit, I can pick a loop. So let's find a loop. Let's have a look at this loop here. Now, I can now go into the loop and I can stretch the loop. I can zoom in, move it along by sliding left and right. We can go into trim mode, and then I can go into chop. So I can start chopping my regions. So I can say, okay, I want X amount of regions. So I've got, say, 16 regions now. I can scroll down. I can take the pen tool and I can add regions just like that. And then I can move regions around as well. We can just grab them. So if there's a certain type that we want. So I can cut regions, so I can add cuts wherever I want. And then I can monitor the cuts as well. So if I want to work on that section, I can zoom that in, and we can go back to our headphone icon. And then I can just grab my pointer and just do whatever I want with that. And then we can chop it up and make it into a program. So the editing facilities that you have when you're editing samples or chopping samples is far superior, again, to anything out on the market. And then we'll go to our time correction. Now, we have all of our classic MP swing, we have all of our time divisions. And what's great with this is that when you're working it with the grid edit, like I showed earlier, we can just highlight any part of the grid, and then we can go to our nudge and we can just nudge that note. Now, if we turn off the quantize, this is where you can do some really sophisticated beat programming, which you just can't do on anything else. So when I'm in the grid, I can highlight this and I can now start moving all my notes in real time across the screen with the nudge. So you can get all those off kind of beats, lazy beats, you know, all different types of genres that use this kind of facility that you might not want to have quantized. So it takes away that kind of mechanical feel. So now we've looked at a lot of the sequencer parameters. Let's just have a look at how we've enhanced the mixer environment. So if I've got a track playing, let's just go back to one of our sequences here. If I now go to my menu and I go to pad mixer, I can now see all my different elements of my track. I just double click so I can control my kick. Come out of that, look at my snare, double click, come out of that. Then I can go mute. We can mute as well from the cue links because these are all touch capacitive. Pull in, there we go. Super cool. We got our sends, inserts and routing, and then again we can do pan as well, or we can do it from a data well. So again, this makes it when you're creating your beat and you want to get into kind of more refining the sound, mixing, using plugins. You know, you have all these facilities here as well. And also when you're creating the track and you're making your beats and you've got all your samples running, what's really cool as well, which we've always had, but it just makes the process so much faster. If we go to a new track, we've got MPC drum mode. We can then click on to our plugin mode, and as you can see, I've got Spire loaded, so I can go straight to Spire. And also, if I want to do something really cool, I can go menu, I can go pad performance, and now I can generate chords. We can go majors, minors, you know, whatever kind of track that we're making, chromatic chords, progressions. So this is all directly from driving a VST instrument. Or we can go into our MIDI mode, and as MPC Touch has MIDI in and out, we could be driving some sound modules or, you know, analog synths, whatever you want, and drive that into the sequencer and still have the grid edit facility and the step sequencer. And as you can see, it's MIDI. You can see the key groups there. And then we have our classic MPC and AKAI key group mode. So this is where you get the ability to create all your own sample instruments, but we also provide a load of samples for you as well. So we've got bass lines, sounds that we can go through these. And again, I can go to menu, pad performance, and I can add chords to this as well, to any one of these sounds. Another thing that we've enhanced with MPC, especially with the MPC Touch, is content. Now, you know, drums, melodics, you know, content has become a major factor with how people produce records, and they want content that sounds on a really high level. Now, the content that we've offered you in here is pretty much the most outstanding content available on the market. You know, we've worked with CR2 Records, who are Sample Tools, who have numerous amounts of releases in the top 5 on Beatport, and then we've worked with MVP Loops, who are really cutting edge on the whole hip hop trap urban scene in the US. So when you load up these kits, they will pretty much shock you because they sound absolutely stunning. They are production ready. You could take the MPC down to a club, you could just put it through the speakers and you would just get the most incredible sound directly out of the box. So you get 10 gig of a whole brand new sound library that's never been heard before. And you also get another 10 gig of VST AU AX instruments from Air. So you get some of the best VST products that they offer, which is stuff like Hybrid 3, the Riser, Vacuum Pro, Loom. We get the Mini Grand piano. There's loads and loads of instruments that you get. So, and then you get the legacy stuff as well, which we've thrown in there. So you get about just over 20 gig of content. So you really do get a full-on workstation facility when you buy the MPC Touch. The sound content is on a whole new level. So let's have a listen. So this is an EDM kit, and all the kits are in this. All the kits have been put in this format where you can load them up and do a performance with them. So if I go into mode, go to pad color, and then I'm going to go to single mode here. And this is all customizable. I can now see that I've got melodics in purple, pink is effects, kicks are in red. So Let's go to another kit. So that's just a few of the kind of the dance stuff that we got here. And then you can hit any pad, go into 16 levels. Come out 16 levels. And then we'll go to some urban. So you've got some really amazing sounds, and all the kits are laid out in the same format. So we could go to some roads. And again, we can just go through some amazing sounds. So it just gives you an idea of the quality. And then we could also audition the sounds here. So anything I want to load, I can just preview the kit before I even load it in. But you can hear how all of these sounds are just instant ready to load. And we can go to instruments. So that's covered the content. So let's what we'll do, let's load up some kits and let's just create some live tracks.